Most people believe it's nearly impossible to retire as a millionaire, but that's simply not true. Becoming a millionaire is easier than one might think, and it's doable even without a high salary. Regardless of common misconceptions, it doesn't have to do with your family's money, extreme luck, where or if you obtained a college degree, or even if you earn a high income. Take a look at some things that anyone can do to become wealthy and stay until the end to hear how you can really accelerate that process. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you're interested in improving your financial future, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this video is helpful. The fact is, becoming a millionaire doesn't mean you have to go to work to earn the money and personally save $1 million. That would be extremely difficult on an average income. Thankfully, the majority of your wealth will be the result of interest earned from your investments. For example, if you were to start with nothing and invest $6,000 per year into the S&P 500, earning a 10% rate of return, in 30 years you'd have $1,085,000. You don't need to personally contribute that entire amount. You would have only put in a fraction of that total. Your contributions of $500 per month by themselves only add up to $180,000. This means that the other $905,000 was interest earned from being invested in the stock market. Saving $180,000 over a 30-year period sure sounds more reasonable and achievable. Now that you have a clearer idea of what it takes to become a millionaire, let's look at some specific steps you can take to reach that goal. Knowing exactly what you're trying to accomplish will help you lay out a plan to get there. When do you want to become a millionaire, and how much money do you need to save to stay on that timeline? Do you plan on having the majority of your money in retirement accounts that have certain requirements, or will a large percentage be tied up in real estate? Why do you want to become a millionaire? It's important to understand what being a millionaire looks like and have realistic expectations. Just because someone is a millionaire doesn't mean they have a never-ending income. One of the keys to be able to consistently invest is by keeping your expenses relatively low, and that starts with being debt-free, or at least avoiding bad debt. Some people prefer to have good debt, which is typically a loan on an appreciating asset. If your mortgage company is only charging 3% interest and you can safely earn 10% by investing it, it might be worth it to use that loan. Additionally, if the rate of inflation exceeds 3%, you're basically borrowing money free of charge. More importantly, avoid bad debt on consumer goods that are guaranteed to go down in value and typically come with high interest rates. It's a bad idea to borrow money for things like clothes, jewelry, vacations, and other things that have basically no underlying value. By keeping debts low, it ensures you're intentional with your money and you only buy things that you can afford. People waste so much money on unnecessary expenses or things that just aren't important to them. Everyone will spend money on things that aren't necessary, but consider these to be things that aren't important to you. For example, most people don't realize how much money they could be saving by shopping their insurance around. Prices for car insurance vary drastically, and it's common for one company to charge twice as much as another for the exact same coverage. Subscriptions could be eating away at your paycheck, and you might not even be taking advantage of them. Are you still using that gym membership you signed up for in January, or are you just being charged automatically? What about that streaming music subscription you had a free trial for and are now paying for every month? Consider how much you're eating at restaurants and what effect those meals will have on you as well as your wallet. The idea isn't to stop spending money on every enjoyable thing in life, it's to cut down on the expenses that you don't really care about and that are costing you your future. Increasing your income will allow you to save more money, allowing you to become a millionaire even sooner. You don't need a six-figure income to become wealthy, but if you're barely getting by, it can be hard to consistently save and invest enough income to get there. It's not necessary to build a successful startup or receive an advanced education to get a bump in pay. There are a few easy ways to increase your income. Start by asking for a raise from your current employer. Many companies hardly ever offer to increase employees' pay if they seem content, often paying the new hires more than the loyal, seasoned help. Be sensible and firm when requesting a raise, and be prepared to leave the position if the employer is being unreasonable. Changing companies is another way to receive a boost in income. There's a shortage of employees in the workforce, and many companies are willing to entice new hires with an increase in pay. Taking advantage of these opportunities is a great way to ensure you're receiving a fair pay rate. If you're self-employed, what can you do to provide more value so you can earn more money? Providing a better product, increasing your professionalism, and improving your skill set are all ways to earn more money. Furthermore, starting a side job or business is an excellent way to branch out into other income-generating activities. Who knows? Starting a business might lead you to eventually quit your day job and focus on that full-time. According to the 2019 Survey of Consumer Finances, the average homeowner's household has a net worth of about $255,000, compared to just over $6,000 for a renter. This shows a strong correlation between household wealth and homeownership. Does this mean everyone should go buy a house, especially in a hot housing market? No, but over the long term, house prices tend to appreciate. When you can borrow money on an appreciating asset at or near the rate of inflation and have the same monthly obligations as you would renting a place, it presents an excellent opportunity. If renting costs $1,800 per month and you can purchase a home for that same payment when you factor in utilities, taxes, insurance, and so on, that can provide substantial progress towards your net worth. There are many variables to consider when deciding to rent or purchase. Housing is the single largest expense of the average household, so it's not a decision to take lightly. So many people underestimate the importance of selecting the investments that will help you reach your goals. This includes buying investments that provide the right amount of risk and reward for your timeline. Being too conservative could cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in potential interest. On the other hand, taking on too much risk and throwing everything in crypto could cause you to lose everything overnight. Elaborating on the original example, a 10% return for 30 years would provide $1,085,000. If you had invested the same amount of money every month for 30 years and only received an 8% annual return, you'd be left with just $734,000. Additionally, keep investment fees low. Don't waste money on funds that have high expense ratios. Those fees have a tendency to eat away at your portfolio, and they are charged every year regardless of whether or not your portfolio makes money. To become a millionaire, you need to let time and compound interest work in your favor so the majority of your wealth was created through investing. The best way to do this is by sticking to the plan and keeping your goals in mind. It's not something that most people will achieve overnight, but rather over the course of decades. Make these behaviors habits, like finding ways to increase your income, keeping debt low, paying attention to your expenses, and checking on your investments regularly. Deviating from the plan could cost you years of financial progress. These are the behaviors of everyday millionaires, average people that were able to build wealth. Once you reach millionaire status, you'll keep doing those things, allowing you to become richer and richer while enjoying your accomplishments.